Firstly, I must apologize for this video lacking visuals. I opted not to use a camera for my YouTube channel due to a combination of laziness and certain circumstances. Nonetheless, you can glean important insights for repairing the CT-X700 or encounter a rare breakdown scenario. It's essential to note that I am not an electric instrument repair engineer. My attempt at fixing it resulted in an aesthetically displeasing outcome on the circuit board. You, however, can likely achieve a much more polished result. The issue at hand was the sudden silence of the F-sharp tone, prompting me to consider the common culprit of bad contact in electrical keyboards. However, I realized it wasn't a case of bad contact after I sprayed liquid to revive the connection and checked it. As I closely examined the board, I discovered a blackened area resembling burn marks under which interconnection runs leading to the key, indicating a short circuit. The sight of the burnt section disappointed me, especially since it occurred very close to a transistor, seemingly the cause of the burn. I concluded that I needed to replace it with a new one. Upon inspecting the transistor, marked as BT3, I found no relevant information online. Undeterred, I sought an alternative and tested it with a multimeter. Not expecting much due to the burn, to my surprise, there were two conductive coupling pins. One is connecting from number 3 to number 1 and the other from number 3 to number 2. I found information about the transistor as it is packaged in SOT3-3 online, where the standard configuration usually designates number 1 as the base, number 2 as the emitter, and number 3 as the collector. However, upon testing with a multimeter, I discovered that in my case, number 3 served as the base, while number 1 and number 2 functioned as either the emitter or collector. The result led me to believe that the transistor is an original component provided by CASIO, the keyboard, and I realized that I might not be equipped to repair it using an alternative transistor. However, I also discovered that the transistor might still be functional for the conductive pins. In fact, when I tested another transistor, the readings were nearly identical, yet a new problem surfaced at this point. 3 contact points on the board for the pins of the transistor had detached when I removed it from the board. Nevertheless, I faced the challenge of repairing a pin on the board, worsened by extensive burned areas obscuring the interconnections for the transistor. To overcome this obstacle, I decided to purchase a magnifying camera. The magnifying camera enabled me to observe the interconnections clearly, revealing the unattractive state of the transistor. This appearance raised concerns, hinting at a possible breakdown. Despite this, I persisted in the struggle to reattach it to the board, using an old soldering iron and solder at a much higher temperature than recommended. Nevertheless, I managed to secure it on the board using very narrow copper wire after exposing the interconnectio. NS. I undertook this with little hope of success, yet to my surprise, I succeeded in repairing it. The sharp tone was restored. In my analysis of the breakdown's cause, it appears that a part of the interconnection was inadequately formed in the factory, leading to sparking and eventual disconnection. The success in repairing the issue was achieved through my unconventional approach. I had to resort to fixing the transistor on the board using wire, effectively bridging and correcting the disconnection point. Much to my amusement, I observed that the electronic components could withstand high temperatures, despite my somewhat unconventional approach applying more heat than usual during the repair. The process was surprisingly successful. Before attempting the repair on my own, I checked Casio's website for repair services. The estimated cost for the repair was around $100, with the additional inconvenience of having to bring it to a service office and retrieve it later. Considering I initially bought the keyboard for only $200, having to pay half of its purchase price for repair seemed impractical. Moreover, Casio explicitly states that they do not sell parts to individuals due to potential risks associated with incorrect repairs, opting for a more cost-effective solution. I managed to repair it for only $13. This included a magnifying camera purchased for $10 from a Chinese e-commerce site, AliExpress, and Flux bought for $3 from Amazon Japan.